Welcome back to Broncos Beat. Alexis Perry here alongside Benjamin Allbright, James Palmer, and Cecil Lammey. Of course, kind of alongside, right? Like we talked about, we are about 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, and we're talking about some of those positions defensively that the Broncos will look to bolster through the draft. We talked a little bit about corner, the defensive line. Now we have to move along to linebacker. That was a position that they didn't shore up last year, but it has to be a priority this year. Right, Cecil?
Yeah, it definitely has to be a priority for this team, and to get an upgrade in terms of you have to have a linebacker in Vic Fangio's system that is very smart, that is a very sound tackler, and the coverage ability today and the way that the game has changed. And just look at the AFC West. It's tight end central. When you talk about Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, Hunter Henry when he's healthy, like the teams that you face the most have great tight ends. So you must have inside linebackers that can cover, can work well in space in this zone dog defense for Vic Fangio. That's what they're looking for in an inside linebacker.
And whenever you hear Vic Fangio – go ahead, Benjamin. Go ahead.
No, sorry about that. It's three-dimensional linebackers. Guys that go sideline to sideline, guys that go away from the football, guys that come towards the football, come downhill. They got, like Cecil said, they got to be smart. This is a complicated defense. You got to understand where you're lined up, where your responsibilities are.
And I think the two words that whenever you hear Vic Fangio talk about the position are speed and instincts. And that goes a lot with your smarts, your instincts about where you need to be. And Cecil's spot on with who you're going to have to line up with and who you're going to have to go out there and cover. The other interesting aspect of it is they had a chance to go out and get a middle linebacker at 10 a season ago. And Vic Fangio went on record. I remember standing there at the owners' meetings when he didn't think Devin Bush or Devin White were Roquan Smith, who he had in Chicago. He believes Smith is a talent that is not come around very often. He ended up trading back. I think it's one of the better moves we've seen the Broncos make in years past because of what they were able to collect from moving out of that 10 spot. But it makes you wonder, what exactly is Vic Fangio looking for? Maybe those didn't fit the value at 10, but what is he specifically looking for and what he likes? He is not a check all the boxes type of guy. He is a watch the film, and if he can do what I like him to do, then I'm going to pull the trigger on him.
And look at the history that he has, the rich history that he has with inside linebackers. You mentioned Roquan Smith. I'll go Patrick Willis. I'll even go back in the day with the Dome Patrol with the Saints when you had Von Johnson and Sam Mills, God rest his soul. I mean, Vic Fangio knows inside linebackers. So the Devin Bush thing was interesting at 10 to pass on that sort of talent that the Steelers then pounced on. They themselves with their rich tradition of inside linebackers and finding that talent. So this year, if one of these guys, maybe a Kenneth Murray, something like that, Patrick Queen, those are options for the team at 15, or even if they move back into the 20s in the first round.
You mentioned Coach Fangio's history with middle linebackers. So who do you think is the next Fangio-coached Pro Bowl middle linebacker?
Well, I'll jump in with one of the guys that Cecil mentioned, and Kenneth Murray, because I was at that pro day in Oklahoma and had a chance to talk to him at length after he was done working out. And to me, if you look at the smarts side of things, the guy had wore the dot on his helmet for 3 seasons. He's the alpha of that defense and ran that entire group. He's an underrated blitzer for the way he can get after the quarterback. He can do a lot of different things. He's a big tackler and super smart. The whiteboard, he told me, which was – they all got canceled, but the thing he was most excited about with his visits was getting on the whiteboard because he said he can dominate dissecting things. That type of smarts is something that Vic Fangio does like.
I think if you're, if you like Murray, that's a guy that's definitely in that range. Patrick Queen is a guy that I've really enjoyed watching play, and Troy Dye, I think would be 2 other guys I think that I would be okay with. Yeah, obviously you're not going to take those guys at 15, but you get them a little bit later.
Yeah, and Queen's the coverage guy because he's 6 feet tall and about 225, so you're always worried about size there. Murray's got the length, and we're not talking about Isaiah Simmons, who I think is the creme de la creme of inside linebackers this year, and he's going to be gone perhaps as soon as pick 3 or 4 in this draft. So if the Broncos want to move up that high, then we'll get Simmons in the conversation. If not, I think Kenneth Murray is kind of the perfect combination for Vic Fangio's D.
What are the chances that the Broncos move up to get Isaiah Simmons?
I think a couple things need to come into play, and a lot of things need to come into play. There needs to be some shuffling at the top, the way that some of these teams could be going after a quarterback, and then you got to find a trade partner that wants to come down. Now, there are a couple of them. Jacksonville is a team that might be interested in coming back out of that 9 spot. Does he even get to 9? I don't know about that, but there's a couple teams that are looking to get back This guy, like Cecil said, is a guy that is just can be a different player for you each and every week. And that's the way, if you're going against the Chiefs, you need speed. And this guy has it, and you can be more adaptable as a defense. He is one of the premier players we've seen on that side of the ball in the last couple of years.
Yeah, with Simmons, I don't think he gets past Carolina. I think that's kind of the floor there. I heard some rumors that Ron Rivera was interested in moving back out of that 2 spot and snagging him up and making him his inside linebacker of the future, middle linebacker of the future. I guess that'd take one of those teams coming up for a quarterback to make that happen. I don't think the Broncos can get high enough or would pay the price to get high enough to be able to get him.
But Jeremy Chin is an option still. Second round guy probably, right Cecil?
Right. Yeah, second round or late first, as we talked about last week, those teams that you still have relationships with, right? In the 49ers, the Seahawks, if you're able to move back into the end of the first round, and let's say at 15 you stay put, you take a different position, maybe it's offensive tackle, defensive lineman. If you really want one of those second round safety / inside linebackers, Kyle Duggar from Lenore Rhine, I've got to mention him because he's the type of player that showed down at the Senior Bowl. Even though he's Division III, he can play against the big boys. He proved that. He's that versatile type of player as well. So Isaiah Simmons light for both of those two. Both of those two are seen as late first or early second round picks.
Okay,
Remember,
you guys.
real quick with the 49ers, though, Alexa, and Cecil brought up a great point. They don't have any picks from 31 to 156. So if they're looking to get out of that 31 spot and they already have a first-round pick, I think that's a team that you obviously have a great relationship with to maybe slide back up.